Hello and welcome to Future Canadian. This is the first video in the series of Canada Express Entry and my name is Dignesh Jani. A lot of my friends and relatives asked me this question regarding Express Entry and how I applied for my Express Entry and got my PR. So I thought maybe a couple of videos on this point can be a great help to all of those who are currently preparing for their Express Entry program or who have already applied for Express Entry program and those who do not want to give a single penny to consultants or agents. So to start with, what is an Express Entry program? A single line definition of an Express Entry program is that this is the program offered by Government of Canada through which you can get your permanent residency status. Now PR of Canada sounds good, but how exactly this Express Entry works? Whether we are eligible to apply in this program or not, that can be your next question. So great, I have put a link down in the description below and which will tell you whether you are eligible to apply under this program or not. It's basically a questionnaire with set of questions. You answer each one of them and at the end they will tell you whether you are eligible or not. So let's understand what's the structure of Express Entry program. How exactly it works? Well, I divide Express Entry in two phases, phase 1 and phase 2. Overall, in phase 1, you collect some documents, you apply online on cic.gc.ca website, and at the end of the phase 1, the result of the phase 1 is an invitation, an email in your inbox which says your application looks good and you can go ahead with it. In phase 2, you again collect some more documents, go ahead and apply online, and your waiting period starts. There is some work to be done from the Government of Canada side, and the result of the phase 2 is an email stating that you have got your PR, and they will ask for your passports, and within a week's time span you will have your passports with the visa and COPR letter, which is confirmation of permanent residency letter. First of all, Express Entry system is a point-based system and the maximum points that you can earn is 1200. Now these 1200 points are further divided in two chunks, 600 and 600. So let's talk about first 600 point. These 600 points are further divided in some categories. There are 5 major sections that you have to take care of. Your age, your level of education, your language proficiency, your Canadian work experience, and your skill transferability. Now before going ahead, I want to make one concept clear. If you're a bachelor, then it's fine. But if you're married, then in application there is one question which says, will your spouse accompany you to Canada or not? If you say yes, then there is a different style of calculating the points, and if you say no, then there is a different way of calculating the points. So let's go ahead and see all these categories in detail. The first one is age. If you are between 20 to 29, you would get a maximum points in this criteria, which is 110. Now if you are a bachelor and you are between 20 to 29, you would get 110 points. If you are married and your spouse is not going to accompany you to Canada, you would get 110 points. But if you are married and you are coming here with your family, that means your spouse is accompanying you to Canada, you will get 100 points. That means there are 10 less marks in the category of age if you are traveling with your spouse. Now the next point is level of education. And this criteria contains the maximum of 150 points. That means if you are a bachelor student or master's or PhD, your scores will vary accordingly. But if you are a PhD, then consider you will get the maximum points, which is 150 in this case. Again, if you are a bachelor, then 150. If you are married and spouse is going to accompany you, then 140. That means 10 less mark in this category as well. Now the next section is your official language proficiency, and the maximum points that you can score is 160. We'll talk about more on how to focus more on which criteria, which part of IELTS exam, and how to really score good bands in IELTS in the later part of the video or maybe in other videos. Now the next section is Canadian work experience. Now this can be valid for those people who may have worked in Canada before, or there can be some people who were on work visa in Canada and they worked here for maybe a couple of years, and maybe for those people who are here on student visa and now they are applying in Express Entry program and they have a Canadian work experience in their hand. So this is for them. The maximum point that you can score is 80 points in this criteria. And the last one is foreign work experience. And when they say foreign work experience, that means the work experience you currently have of your own country. Now this foreign work experience, or a skill transferability factor, that the last one which I said, is the combination of your IELTS exam, your degree and your work experience. So this is a tricky criteria, and the more score you can get in your IELTS exam, the more it helps to get some good points in this criteria as well. And that's why the official language proficiency criteria, or the IELTS exam, I call it the game changer. So this discussion was around the first chunk of 600 points. And now let's discuss about the second chunk of 600 points. Now these 600 points are again further divided in some categories. And the first one is if your brother or sister is living in Canada, or if they are permanent resident or citizen of Canada, then you would get some points, which is 15 in this case. For your French language proficiency, if you give an examination for French, just like IELTS for your English exam, then you would get maximum up to 30 points. If you have your post-secondary education in Canada, that might give you 30 points as well. The next part is valid job offer. So if you have a valid job offer from Canada, then you would get 200 points. And the last one is the provincial nomination. That means if any of the province of Canada, be it British Columbia or Alberta or Ontario, if any of the province is nominating you, then you will get maximum of 600 points. Now I want to spend some time on the last two sections, which is valid job offer and provincial nomination. Now this 200 and 600 points look good, but they are great on the board because it's very difficult to get a valid job offer being in any other country than in Canada. Apart from this, just go to any consultant or lawyer or agent and they will charge $2,000-3,000 for getting a provincial nomination, and that's not fixed that you will get this provincial nomination. So I would rather focus more on the first chunk of 600 points, because in my case none of the province nominated me. I never gave any French language test. No brothers or sisters are living in Canada. I didn't have any valid job offer when I applied over here. But I still successfully landed in Canada on the basis of first chunk of 600 points. I focused more on them and it was possible. There is one more section for married people and for those who are married and spouse will accompany them to Canada, because they're going to get 10 less points in age, language proficiency, level of education and your Canadian work experience. They have a separate section of spouse or common law partner, and in this section the maximum point they can earn is 40. So that means the 40 points are deducted from first criteria. They have given a separate section for them for spouse, where they are calculating the point on spouse's level of education, language ability and Canadian work experience, and the total is 40. So if you work systematically, then in 9 to 10 months of time span, you would get your PR of Canada. Now let's come back to phase 1 first. As I said that you have to collect some documents. So what are those documents? The first documents is the result of your IELTS exam or PTE exam. That means the result of your language ability test. And the second one is the certificate of your education credential assessment, which is your ECA report. Now this means that you have to get your degrees validated by the government of Canada. There is an organization which is World Education Services, WES, which does this task for you. You have to go online, submit an application, you have to collect some documents from your college, from your university, and you have to send this envelope to WES Canada. Once you send this, they will take around a month of time to validate everything, and at the end of a month or so, they will send you a result, they will send you a certificate which will say that your bachelor's degree or your master's degree or your PhD degree is equivalent to Canadian bachelor's or master's or PhD degree. That's all you want. Once you have the certificate in your hand, you can go ahead and apply online. And once you have this thing in your hand, you go ahead, apply online, and based on these documents, based on your IELTS score, based on your credential assessment, you'll be given a score, and that score depends on those 5 factors that I said. And out of those 1200 points, you will earn some number of points. Let's say, for example, your points are 435 out of 1200, and I'm not considering the second chunk of 600 points in this. So out of those 600 points, you have 435 points. What's the next thing that you should do? Now there is a link down in the description below which says round of invitations. Every 15 days or maybe sometimes every 10 days, Government of Canada does this round of invitations and they come up with a score. Now I call this score a cutoff score. So if your score is equal to or more than the cutoff score, then you will receive an ITA, which is invitation to apply. But if your score is less than the cutoff score, let's say for example in this case 430 and the cutoff score is 435, then definitely you won't be selected in this particular round of invitation. But what you can do is you can wait till the time the score drops, or you can improve your score. Now if you want to improve your score, there are certain criteria where you cannot work, for example age or level of education or your work experience, because that's not going to change in the 2 months of time span. But what can change is the language ability. So if you work hard on that as well and give an IELTS exam or maybe PTE exam again, improve your score and update your profile, that may increase the score, and next time you might be selected. But the work is not done, because as soon as you receive your ITA, that means invitation to apply, on the very same day you should start preparing for your phase 2. That means collecting some more documents. These documents include medical exam result, your police verification certificates, proof of fund, all the employment records, that means your joining letters, your experience letters, maybe salary slips if you want to include, and if you have your own business, then maybe your visiting cards or your bills. If you are a doctor, for example, then maybe some empty patient information form where the contact information and address and everything is written, so that could help. So collect all these documents, and once you have all these documents in your hand, you should go ahead online and apply, because once you receive your ITA, you will have 90 days, that means 3 months of time span to collect all these documents and apply online. So you should start working on the very same day, because some of these documents takes time, especially the police verification certificates. It takes time to collect. Why? Because the main criteria in police verification certificate is that after the age of 18, if you have stayed at one place more than 6 months, then you have to get a police verification certificate of that particular place. Alright, so this was the overall information about Express Entry System and how it works. Don't forget to check out the links in the description below. These links are for eligibility criteria, the CRS, which is Comprehensive Ranking System, the point system, which I just mentioned, and the link to the recent round of invitations. I'm going to make some more videos on different stages of Express Entry application. For example, how to do education credential assessment, how to get medical certificate, police verification certificate, proof of fund certificate, and your employment records. So please don't forget to subscribe to this channel so that you can get all the updates on the Express Entry system. If you like this video, please share this video with your friends and family members who are currently preparing for their Express Entry or who have already applied for Express Entry system, because these videos may help them a lot. And again, thanks for watching.